This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express Monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Everyone, welcome to this week's pod. This is a show for the week of July 4th, 2022. Obviously, we're recording this on July 5th. I don't know if that's obvious, Phil, but it is. We were celebrating the country's birthday, and we decided to take a day off. Good show today. We're going to talk a little bit about Splash Mountain and how it's not going to be Splash Mountain anymore. We're going to talk about some Tomorrowland updates. And I watched an interesting video that was linked somewhere. I think I got it off of WDWmagic.com and their forums about this slow change and overlay of Tomorrowland over time type of thing. Lots of words in that one, but slowly changing. And some updates about the Wish. And then, of course, our top 5 this week is top 5 non-attractions at Walt Disney World. We got some good ideas from TikTok, but we're going to save those for next week, I think. Some Discord server discussion topics to catch up on. But before we hit what everybody else is talking about in our Disney World, Phil, why don't you fill us in on the Disney Comeback Index, a.k.a. the DCI?
Yeah, so a little bit of movement. Any step forward is a good progress.
Technically, right? There's movement.
Yeah, so we're moving from 86.35 to 86.4. This comes from the minivans being back, which I know is something some people were really looking forward to. So that's nice to see them back.
Wait, hold on a second. People actually looking forward to this? Is this a thing?
Yes.
Were they around that long enough to make people wish that they were back?
Yeah, well, people used them, and it was a service that was missing, and people were anticipating coming back so they could use them again.
I guess so. Okay.
I mean, it wasn't like nostalgia, I remember when I was a kid, we rode minivans.
Minivans were great back in 86.
And also, Maribel has been added to the cavalcade. So that was a little addition, and it was nice to see that happened.
No, I think any Encanto stuff added to the parks is always a good thing. All right, thanks, Phil. Yeah. So, like we said, in our Disney World this week, people were talking about, I think everybody, this is not unique to our little Discord community. I think that everybody was talking about these. The first thing was Tiana's adventures in Frontierland, Splash, Remake, adventures. I don't know. Lots of adventures are being had with Tiana's. They were doing a festival down in Louisiana. Fill me in the details. What was going on?
Yeah, so there was and we had known this a little while ago that Disney said they would provide more details at what is the Essence Fest in New Orleans. Disney was going to be one of the contributing sponsors. They had a couple slots there, and some of the information came out about the redo of Splash Mountain, which I can't believe was already 2 years ago when they first mentioned that this was going to happen.
We've had some time.
Yeah, that's some time to work on it. We haven't seen too much of that other than they gave a time frame saying it will be open at both Disneyland and Walt Disney World by the end of 2024. So the clock is ticking.
Tick, tick, tick.
And they also announced the name of the attraction. It will be known as Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So those two bits of information, I think, got people discussing quite a bit, even though there wasn't that much information.
Yep.
I think with the name, I think people talked way too much about this thing. They didn't like the name. They think it's boring.
Oh my goodness.
What do they want? It's a name. It's fine. I think it is, the interesting thing was, would they include any part of Splash Mountain? But obviously they just got rid of any reference to that. I saw other people say, maybe it could have been Tiana's Bayou Splash or something like that to indicate there's a splash going on. But it's what it is. It tells you that, where it's taking place, who's involved, and you're going on an adventure with them.
I think that's all you need. Yes. The name is not important, right? As long as, like you said, it tells you where you're having it, who you're having it with, and what you're doing, and you're having an adventure. Exactly. I don't really care about the name. The name's fine. As long as it's not something ridiculous, And the acronym is not something that I'll have to like try to remember in Google every time somebody brings up some kind of like 5-letter type thing. It's much better than Mickey and Minnie's.
The acronym for this now is TBA.
Yeah,
so it's to be announced.
To be announced. I mean, it works. At least it's not Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is I always have a difficult time. I'm getting better, but I'm still having a tough time saying it.
Or any of those super long name ones, like what is it? Under the Sea: The Journey of the Little Mermaid, or what? Like nobody's going to say all that.
Somebody had like a 6-name acronym for a ride, and they were talking about like everybody. I'm like, I have no idea what it is. I'm not looking it up. I'm just going about my day. All right, what do you, first things first, Phil? What do you think about the dates? Are you comfortable with this?
I think so. First of all, for it to be completed, I think that can be done. My understanding is that they've been working on set pieces already.
Makes sense.
They have been working on it for a little bit, so they're working on the animatronics and stuff like that, and that it's not changing the course of the ride or anything like that. It really is a retheme to all the scenes. They're not really redoing ride elements and stuff like that. So I think it's not like a quick overlay. They need more than a couple months, but I think they have close to 2 years. So I think they can get that done, no problem.
Well, I mean, like I think the DBC discussion topic next week is going to be this. So I don't know how deep we want to get into it, but I dig the timeline. I think they can get it done by 2024, assuming they've been working on it. They don't have to rebuild the attraction, right? They have to rebuild the ride vehicles potentially, or at least spruce them up. And it's just all the overlay stuff. So are we expecting this to go down January, February timeframe and to pop back up? Like, is this ride really going to be down for like 8+ months? Is that what we're thinking?
Well, I think it's going to be down for about 20 months. I think that because they open up the mountain and go.
Man, my math is terrible.
But yeah, I think it'll go down. Like typically, I looked it up in the last. Normally Splash goes down for its winter maintenance early January. It was like January 10th last year, January 6th the year before. So I assume it'll be around that time. Get through the holiday season, and then they'll just bring it down until they're ready to reopen it. With a new theme.
This a major ride like this being down in Magic Kingdom for this long without any real additions, because Tron's not a people eater like Splash is, right? Because Tron doesn't have the capacity per hour. I'm terrified of what Magic Kingdom is going to look like for these 20-ish months. I mean, I'm with you on that prediction. I don't see how they can do it. I mean, it's a big ride. It's long. There's not only the inside the attraction, taking out all the animatronics, sprucing that up. I think that might be the easiest part.
Yeah,
I think the most difficult is the outside of the attraction. Right? Because it's got all the brambles and the thorn bushes and all this other stuff. Like, that's not going to stay. But I
don't know how much of that's going to change, or I guess we'll see.
Or
maybe to give a shout out, DSNY did, I think, a pretty good job laying out what needs to be done and comparing it to the timeline for the Frozen Ever After, that ride, when they redid Maelstrom, and kind of comparing timelines of that. But to your point, Splash is much, much bigger. He had, I think, the Frozen Maelstrom is like 900 feet or meters or whatever, and Splash is like 2,600. So it's quite a bit longer.
The length doesn't make a difference as long as they have enough people, to do it, right? And that they've prepped everything beforehand. So it's just like pick and drop type of thing. Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. Be really interested. Well, how do we? This is like off the cuff. Do we remember how long Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway took go from the Great Movie Ride to that? Was that like 2 years?
It was around that. I haven't looked that up. That's a good question. I think it might have been a little longer than that, but that they had to do a lot of infrastructure.
Right. I mean, it's a totally different ride.
Yeah.
Because of that. Because I mean, now that you say that, now that I brought that up, I don't think that's a good comparison. So everybody ignore that I just brought that up. Anyway, it's just going to add more fuel to the fire for the people that just hate this change and all the Disney curmudgeons out there that are,
I just hope they do a really good job with it. And I think, hopefully this is a long enough time for them to do that.
Do the right thing.
Hopefully it shuts people up because, I love the Splash Mountain, but it's the ride system I love. And, if they just put in quality animatronics with some great music and a good story, then it'll be even better. Because right now, those animatronics are kind of in sad shape and stuff like that. So.
I mean, like, I have zero attachment to Briar Rabbit in the whole story. Like, I've never seen Song of the South. I never watched these the characters as a child, right? Like, it's like the nostalgia is like, I've been on this ride 10 times, 20 times. I first went on it, whatever, and it's all the music attached to it, but it's just like, you know what? you don't have any distinct attachment to this ride, like you would be like Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck or princesses because you grew up watching, Cinderella 500 times. You love meeting Cinderella type of thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a tie for anybody into this. And what's best about this ride, like you said, is the ride vehicle. You have like a pretty awesome dark ride attached to a pretty awesome like thrill ride attached to it, and it's really fun. So as long as they keep that and they're not changing it, should still be good. Okay, so we also have some Tomorrowland updates, Phil. What's going on in Tomorrowland?
Yeah, so two things kind of completely unannounced, and it was kind of funny where so many of the like bloggers and stuff like that, which we'll get to, were on the media sailing for the Disney Wish that they like missed this happening, and they're like, "Wait, what happened? Like what?" So it's kind of interesting to see them catch up. Like, I guess we're not allowed to go on cruises anymore. But the two things that happened was the People Mover now has new narration. So obviously the big thing was they added in about Tron, but they also added in quite a few nods to old attractions, which I think is fun. So they talk about, If You Had Wings and the Timekeeper and stuff like that. So it's nice that they're making references to those nostalgic things that, people that have been coming for years and years and stuff like that, but also updating it with the new stuff. They did seem to talk a little bit about the space where Stitch is. So I don't know if that means anything. But we'll see. But that was one of the big updates that happened. And the other one is that they randomly changed all the outfits on the family at the end of the Carousel of Progress in the final scene.
It's an easy update, right? I mean, I saw it. It's like you're changing a mannequin, most likely, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's really what it was. But it does make them look newer and fresher, and it kind of gives it a little, spit shine, I guess, or whatever.
Yep.
They didn't really change anything else. They didn't change the dialogue. They still talk about, laser discs, like there's some newfangled thing.
Yep.
But, there's also some little Easter eggs in there too. The sister has a sweatshirt on for Progress Tech.
That's going to be a big seller, guaranteed.
And
that.
The father has an apron that says "My Food Rocks," tied back to Food Rocks and stuff like that. So I think there's fun little nods in there too.
Yep.
But anytime a classic attraction like this can get some love, I think it's a good thing. It just was one of those things like, wait, well, nobody knew anything about this, and it just happened, and all right.
There's a lot of like little things that are getting fixed around Walt Disney World. Like I saw on Blog Mickey today that the AT-AT sprouting water again right by the now
Star
closed
Tours
Jedi Training Academy area.
Yeah, it's the one outside Star Tours.
Yep. And I think that was cool. And obviously they're not fixing Splash because it's coming down, so they're not going to spend that much money fixing it up before it gets taken down. I appreciate the little touches, and it's sad that we appreciate the little touches because they should be doing this as a theme park, massive theme park, right? So maybe this is telling us the parks are going in the quote unquote right direction. Maybe we don't need D23 announcements for big e-ticket attractions. Things just happen. We don't have to have 1,000 bloggers waiting for these things to be released. They just get decided to be done, and they just happen. And we're like, oh, okay, that's cool. I think that's a better way of doing things other than be like, oh, it's amazing that you changed the color of a wall in this part of the park and it's now purple. It's amazing. We don't need that. Just fix things and change things, and people will figure it out over time.
That they put an announcement out that 2 weeks from now they're going to have an announcement on TikTok about the family having new outfits or whatever. Yeah.
So I appreciate the way to do these things. And I alluded to a video, and I don't remember where it was, and it was more of a conjecture from April, right? So a lot of things came true from that video. They were mentioning permits for changing the gift shop to Space Mountain. They mentioned how that's going to be reshaped. They mentioned actors being hired to do the narration. He's like, maybe it's for People Mover. Hey, there it was. And it's like Tomorrowland's slowly being converted into, what they showed in the concept art where they showed Tron, Spaceship Mountain, or Space Mountain, excuse me, and the People Mover, right? And a little bit of the Speedway and that aesthetic. And then they changed the entrance sign to Tomorrowland where it's sleek and simple. And things are and they changed the pylons to the People Mover too. They're starting to take away all the gear things. And the biggest thing is the same thing that we've talked about a million times when we talk about Tomorrowland. The only thing that you don't know what they're going to do with is the Astro Orbiter, because it's the only thing that doesn't fit into that styling of sleek, new. So it'd be interesting to see where Tomorrowland goes, and it's slowly changing. It's not like they take down everything and they just change it. It's slowly changing. So we'll see. And I'm all for making this land even better, because I think the Tron's going to really transform the way that part of the park looks. Last part of what everybody's talking about in our Disney World is the maiden sailing for the Disney Wish. My initial reaction, Phil, seeing all this stuff, because I wasn't really following it. I'm not a cruiser by any means, and I'm not going on a Disney Cruise Line anytime soon. I think that may be one of your questions, is because of the cost of a lot of these things. But I know you're thinking about it. But just watching all these Disney vloggers talk about how much they're amazed by their $8,000 free cruise that they're getting, and then like all the different experiences and how it's amazing, it's awesome. I'm like, of course I'm jealous, right? I mean, let's get that out of the way. Of course, I'm going to admit that right away. But B, it's just like, but you didn't pay for any of this stuff, and you're having such a great time. How can I trust anything that you're saying? So I didn't like the coverage, just because it was just like, here's luxury goods that you don't get, but I get for free. Ha ha ha. And granted, a lot of these people are not like that, but that's the vibe I was getting, just because of my own head, the way I think. What did you think about the coverage of the Wish?
Yeah, I definitely got that there did seem to be a lot of focus on the high end stuff. I mean, we'll get to some of those items, but even a lot of the rooms they showed, like, I saw some tours of the normal ones, but they were showing all the suites and the 2-story things and stuff like that.
That, and not only, but they were showing like $1 million necklace that's available in the shop. We had a back and forth on Twitter about drinks that were a $5,000 drink.
So there's a $5,000 drink available in the Star Wars Lounge, and finally they did find out what's in it. It's some really high end liquors and stuff like that, but you do also get a bottle of wine from Skywalker Vineyards delivered to your room.
That's nice.
And it also includes, you get to visit Skywalker Ranch. So at least there's some like extras with it and stuff like that.
Vacation.
But it's it's clearly just like, they're trying to get people that want Instagram accounts and that sort of stuff to spend $5,000 on a drink. So it's definitely felt like there were a lot of elements on this ship that are aiming for the high spenders.
But the cruise ship looks amazing, right?
Yes.
Like it looks like how the deluxe resort should look like, right?
That's a really good way of putting it. And it's always frustrating. And I know even when the coverage, I told some people I have a little bit of sour grapes, because we priced out a cruise on the Wish. I just couldn't justify the cost. And it's like, I get why it's more expensive than other cruise lines. You see it, like you said, how beautiful the ship is and just the high quality of it. It doesn't make it not expensive.
Yeah.
It's like great. A Lamborghini is really nice too. I still can't afford it. Right?
Exactly. I get frustrated with Disney, and this is a story that's being told all over the place, that Disney is outpricing people. It's in a lot of different publications, and this is not doing itself a favor by it's. Look, I don't begrudge anybody their success and their money. If this is something that you want to do, but like, they don't do. It's tough for them to. They're not showcasing what the everyday person can afford. You and I are very successful in our lives, and this is still something that we hesitate to even go near because of the price tag associated with it. And I think Disney could be doing a little bit better by you can showcase all the fancy stuff, and that's awesome. I love watching that, and I'm like, wow, if I ever have enough money, if I ever wanted to splurge, this is a great thing to do. But what about for everybody else that only has $9,000, not $20,000, or we can't afford the $100,000 trip around the world type of thing? And with prices going up all over the place, to me, it's a time and a place, right? Like I think these should be. I think they should be showcasing it a little bit differently, in my opinion. But again, beautiful cruise ship, and maybe I'm not the target audience, and I'm okay with that. And I'm not really jealous of people. I'm just like, do I really need to be seeing these TikToks or tweets at like 9:00 in the morning as I'm putting together something for work? At my home office, being super jealous. But it is what it is.
No,
it's
that's a good point.
right?
That it does feel like a lot of the focus is there, and I don't know why it is. Where in the past it used to feel a little bit more balanced. I don't know if it's the lack of discounts or whatever, because I feel like in the past you used to always see all those commercials that were like
just families.
Wait, like families like, wait, we could do 4 nights for $1,600. Obviously it was like very cherry picking the dates and stuff like that, but they were clearly an intent to make it seem that the average family could afford this. And you don't see a lot of those advertisements anymore where they're going after that average family.
It's not there at all. And
they're trying to make the affluent people, attract them to spend lots of money and not really worrying about the average family, I guess.
I mean, and there's a lot of other cool stuff on there. You have a note here about the Ant-Man video, about like why he didn't fly up Thanos's other entry points and blow him up from inside, I guess.
Yeah, there are just a lot of little fun nods, I think, at the Marvel restaurant where they have, obviously people, characters playing Ant-Man and the Wasp and stuff, but they had them on on video screen, so they had actual Paul Rudd and stuff like that, and he's kind of like joking around with stuff like that, it's just funny that that's something that people like brought up on the internet or whatever, and now they're addressing it, in an actual thing. So stuff like that seems fun,
because that goes back to saying they have an amazing amount of awesome touches in this whole experience. It's an amazing experience. But last question, Phil, before we move on, all this coverage that you see, does that make you want to book it more or less? Let's say you had the money, right? Let's say, the money to book this is not throwaway money for you. It's still a consideration, but you had it. Let's say it was easily affordable, but not, you didn't have to put any thought into it. Right. So whatever that means. Watching all this stuff, would this make you want to go? Or if you had that much money, would you go and spend it doing something else?
So obviously we did decide to use the money to do something else beforehand. We decided to go on another cruise that was, that we could afford 7 days versus 3 days.
Right.
But, I do have to say, to your point, the ship really did look beautiful.
Yep.
And like I said, you get why it costs more, and it did make it feel more appealing. It's silly, but when you see all the characters like walking around and meeting people and stuff, like you get why it's a special.
It's like the Star Cruiser almost. In a lot of ways.
So I think it did help a little bit. It's going to take more, I think, reviews from average people that had to pay it and talk about because the thing I think I'm most interested in is the dining, and I want to hear from regular people, for lack of a better word, like how they react to the dining experiences, because they're so unique there that I think helps justify the cost. So I'd say it certainly didn't hurt. It pushed me in the right direction, but not nearly enough.
I think I agree with that take. Like if I had, I really hate talking about money, but it always comes down to money when you're talking about Disney and their vacations and their experiences. I think that if the money was zero concern to me, watching some of those videos, like, okay, this is some really awesome accommodations. I would love to experience those type of things because Disney always provides a good experience. It's just very pricey. So I think the coverage that they did, if they were trying to convey luxury, top-notch entertainment experiences, they were successful at doing that. I just hope that they become affordable to some people, but you know what? They're going to be selling that thing out for years to come.
Yeah. One thing that I think will be interesting is, one sense I got was they were really trying to highlight how this is taking their cruise line to the next level, like compared to the other ships. And I think all the people that have done the other cruises or have the money will be really attracted to this. I want to try this. Will we now see maybe some, I don't want to say affordable, but does it make the other cruise ships maybe a little bit more attainable for other people because they're now less desirable, for lack of a better word, for this? Because I think they did try to at least that was a sense I got from a lot of the people that, even the ones that say we're not doing full reviews, blah, blah, blah. It's but they were they were giving that sense of this is a step up from the other ships.
Yep. No, absolutely. Definitely is. All right. Before we get on to our top 5 lists, Phil, I think you need to welcome some new members to our community. Who are they?
Yeah. So we had some new Discord members, Teresa 2010 and Wheezy. Thank you both for joining. And also a new YouTube subscriber, Laura Soto. So thank you.
Thanks for joining. And I think I saw Wheezy's comment on TikTok. We're like, hey, your link is not working anymore. How do I find you? And I went and I replied to him on TikTok. But before I did that, I noticed there was a Wheezy that joined Discord. So I'm assuming that you are one and the same person. So thank you for taking the extra step and finding us on the internet.
Otherwise, we have multiple Wheezy fans, which
there
is
you go.
very exciting.
Very, very exciting. All right, Phil, on our top 5 this week, we have our top 5 non-attractions at Walt Disney World. And I think you mean by non-attractions things that you traditionally could not schedule in a fast pass or lightning lane environment, things that don't have lines, but things that you find around the park that you consider fun and look forward to on your next trip.
Exactly.
So, Phil, why don't you go first? What are your top? You have 6 here, so you cheated.
Well, yeah, I cheated. I have an honorable mention, because it's not back yet, so I didn't include it in my list. But if it was, my number 1 would be the Citizens of Hollywood in Disney's Hollywood Studios. Unfortunately, they are not back yet, and there was also some rumblings that maybe they're not coming back. So I had to at least acknowledge them.
Why the Citizens of Hollywood? I always thought they were entertaining, and I love the background entertainment that goes on.
Yeah.
I know I'll miss them, but I never stopped for them either.
Okay.
So I'm like,
they were somebody we would stop all the time for, see multiple shows.
Right.
We just the ad-libbing they do with the crowd is amazing.
Oh,
the
they're
characters they've created, it just added so much life. It fit into Hollywood Boulevard. I don't know. It just it reminded me of things like the Adventurers Club, those types of characters and stuff like that. And it just felt very professional, put together, immersive, and unique. So I think it was something that I just enjoyed a lot.
I'm not gonna take that away from you. Well, I mean, Disney might, but I'm not.
Well, you like me better than Disney. So my first one for my real list, which I also cheated because I kind of combined 2 things. I put either a monorail or the Skyliner ride. So not taking it to get anywhere, but just actually going for the ride. Specifically the monorail, we would always, that was one of my son's favorite things to do, where we would take a break from Magic Kingdom or whatever and just do a couple loops on the monorail and that sort of thing. And we do similar things on the Skyliner. Let's just go for a ride on the Skyliner. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun. So even though they're modes of transportation, for us, they are a bit of a destination.
No, I mean, I get that. I mean, it's something different to do. If you're not having an intense park day, it's something better than either just sitting in your room or maybe sitting by the pool and not doing anything. You're actively doing something while actively not doing anything, right? You're sitting down, but you got some scenery going on.
And they both have, I think some good narration. So it's got kind of quotable lines and stuff like that. So it's also got those nostalgic vibes tied to that as well. Next on my list is visiting the Animal Kingdom Lodge and viewing the Savannah there. Basically just being able to see the animals out at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. They have the sort of that viewing area. You can go out at Jumbo House. There's usually cast members out there explaining things. You can ask questions. At nighttime, there's you can get infrared goggles so you can see in the dark and stuff like that.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
that's cool.
So I think there's something really unique. They do a fire pit out there and stuff like that. So I think it's something, we haven't really stayed there, but we always go over the Animal Kingdom Lodge every trip, and that's something we do. Is to go out and look at the animals there.
I like it.
Next one I have is the electric water pageant. That is one of my favorite things. I can't believe it's still around. It looks so dated and everything, but not only is it still around, but they added to it. So I think it's just such a classic Disney thing, so nostalgic, and it's something you can see from so many different spots, but outside of the parks. And I think it's just a classic thing.
What's amazing is they don't announce it, right? They don't fluff it up. It's just you're happy to be waiting for your bus, and she's what is that? And it's just oh, that is awesome. It's like a classic Disney touch. It's not something they're trying to sell a party to. It's not here's this crazy amazing thing. They're not making a production video about starting up the trams about it type of thing. Yeah. It's just there, and it's fun. It's background kinetics, background beautiful lights and stuff like that, and it's just fun. It's just something that's there, and they need to do more of that.
Next one is number 4 is the Voices of Liberty. I wasn't sure if this counted because it is a bit of a destination, but it's not an attraction.
What is it? Just in case people don't know what it is. What is Voices of Liberty?
Voices of Liberty are the group of performers who sometimes they perform at the American stage, but a lot of time they perform in the rotunda of the American Adventure building. They do all sorts of different songs in Epcot. Yep. Sorry. I assume that went without saying, but yes, in Epcot.
You never know.
They do a lot of patriotic songs. They do a lot of Disney songs, all a cappella stuff, but they're just incredibly talented.
Very talented.
And, especially on a hot day, go inside there and listen to a set or two, and it's almost emotional, like just how good they are in the setting where they perform and stuff.
The sound is really good inside the rotunda too. They have good. I'm not a sound engineer whatsoever. The
acoustics.
Acoustics. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. It sounds really, and the air conditioning in that building is top notch in that park, I think also.
And my last one is Trader Sam's, specifically the cast members or the bartenders there. So much fun. Obviously, there are other tiki bars that have some elements like this around, but it's pretty unique with all the different, kind of almost animatronics they have and effects going off. Really fun drinks. Obviously, get to keep, if you pay for them, you can keep some of the tiki glasses and stuff like that. But just the way the servers play off people and stuff like that, it's a lot of fun. And again, something really unique. And it's just a bar at one of the resorts. It's not, an attraction or anything like that. So I think it's pretty cool that it exists.
That's a good top 5. I'm jealous of your top 5/6 with honorable mention. I struggled with my top 5. So my top 5 non-attractions at Walt Disney World start with a little bit of nostalgia. I'm trying to think, what have I done in the parks that wasn't something that was planned, thing that was on a list of attractions, right? With small kids, it's always been let's go here, let's do this, let's do this. So one of the things I've experienced the first time I went back 7, 8 years ago, and we just kind of stumbled upon it. It was all the dancers in Africa and Animal Kingdom, right? The drums, the dancers, and all the entertainment. I'm like, this is pretty cool. And then we went into the Harambe Market. We grabbed some lunch, grabbed a beer. I'm like, this is really cool outside space, good food. And later on, we went to the Tusker House, so you have to kind of go through the bar. The Tusker House is kind of tucked around in the side. You kind of I didn't know this was back here, all this type of stuff. So one of the things I love to do is when I'm at Animal Kingdom, and if I have time or it's the right time of day, is just grabbing a beer somewhere, just sitting and having a meal and just kind of, I don't know, people watch maybe, just experience the environment. And I think it's a really awesome part. It's one of the best parts of the park, in my opinion. I really like it. The second part is my favorite land in Magic Kingdom. I needed a Magic Kingdom. I have 2 Magic Kingdom experiences here, but the first one was just people watching at Adventureland. That's whether you're grabbing a Dole Whip and you're sitting down and just kind of taking a load off in that shaded area near the exit of the tiki room, or if you're kind of walking through the shops if they were open, or watching people get squirted on by the camel, that sort of thing. I just love the sounds and the environment of that.
I was going to say, I was surprised you didn't specify the sounds and the music of Adventureland. I know you've talked about that in the past and kind of how that's nostalgic for you.
It's just the background, if you, or even walking towards Pirates and just kind of there's one of the best bathrooms in Magic Kingdom is tucked away right past Pirates, and if the little kiddos and the wife are going in and how to use the potty, then I just stayed back and I just kind of take it all in and take a breather and some shade. I just love just being there, and that's one of my top 5 things I always have to do is just take a breath in Adventureland and not have to do anything. Another one that I've always talked about, and I don't know if this is kind of an experience. I'm going to say dockside margaritas in Disney Springs, just because the drink, the margarita there is very good. It's one of the best margaritas on property, I think. But I like just sitting there. It's just you have some seating. It's not indoors. You have some form of shade, but it's not closed. I can't remember if there is actually a roof over it, or if it's there's to the side of it. There's a bit of a covering. I think sometimes they have musical performers there too, and it's right on the water. Last time I was there, and I was actually staying for an extended period of time. They had just a guy playing a guitar, taking taking requests, but I wasn't sure if it was what's the thing that's called? It was just of slats that go across.
A pergola?
Pergola, thank you. Yes, I mean, I don't know if it was a pergola or just actually a flat. In any case, it's awesome just sitting there looking over the water and just having everything going around you, but you have enough time to just kind of relax and listen to music. That's my favorite part about Disney Springs, is the entertainment and the music. And not the shopping or getting to one restaurant to the next bar or anything else. It's just like the chill in the air. The only way you could do that is between the months of like October to maybe like March, where it gets dark a little bit early and it's not just like dead hot at like 7 o'clock at night. The next one is kind of vague, right? But on my thing is one of the favorite things I love to do is resort exploring. Whether that's, I like trying to go to a different resort every time I go, and exploring the resort, walking around, and just kind of get the feel. Like I love stretching out at a resort and feeling the bubble, right? Like you want to just completely absorb that whole experience. I just love doing that. And I also love going to other resorts. I love walking around the Contemporary, seeing what I'm missing, walking around the Polynesian, and just kind of just walking around, just checking things out. It's like it's free experiences, right? You're there, and you just kind of catch some things out. So I really like looking at just exploring resorts, whether they're in detail or it's a little kind of dip your toes into the experience and then leaving. And the last thing is, I mean, you can sell me a party ticket for this, but and everybody has their own special name for it. I don't have a special name for it. It's like you walk into the Magic Kingdom, you go up and underneath the train station, and you walk through the tunnel. And as you pass through the tunnel, you go through the shade. It's cool. And then you come out to the sun, and you're in town square, and then like the majesty of Main Street in the Magic Kingdom open to you, and you get the sounds. You got the music that's playing. If you're there at a certain part of the day, maybe you got some vehicles driving around or a parade coming through or something. And it's just like, you're at Disney because this is the entryway, for me anyway, to coming into Disney. It's just kind of like you take a breath in, you look around, and you just get the big dopey grin on your face like you're going to have a good day today. And hopefully it's not jam-packed. And you're but I love doing that.
That's a great one. I mean, that's how Walt designed the park, right? It was you have all the coming attractions, the posters that are basically like the coming attraction movies, and then once you get out there, that's the opening shot of the adventure you're going to have that day. So yeah, makes a lot of sense.
I dig it. It's like they did it on purpose, right? Where like they have the elevation, the way things are. So once you're like on property, ready to get it, not on property, in the outside the park, you can't see the castle, and it's the whole reveal, right? That's why there's it's like. I respect that experience tremendously, and it still hits me even though I know what to expect. All right, so that's my top 5 of non-attractions at Walt Disney World. If you like, and you're seeing this on TikTok or watching on YouTube or listening, tweet at us, write in the comments, do something, and tell us what your non-attractions that you enjoy tremendously at Walt Disney World, and we'll certainly share those to come. Okay, so I didn't tease this. I was supposed to tease this, and I think I screwed this up, Phil. I forgot to put this in the notes at the top. But I'm going to ask you something. So this is our segment of Ask Me Anything, and we've decided last week that we're no longer to ask each other. And I think I was supposed to ask you this at the beginning of the show and to kind of warn and give you some sense. But I made it easy for you, Phil, so we don't have to do it this way.
All right.
So this is a would you rather. Okay. Right? So I listed out 4 choices. So you have to pick out one, and I'm going to quiz you on why you didn't pick out a certain one or what have you, right?
Okay.
And this is really difficult. So I have one for each one of the theme parks. Would you rather? And I really try to make the Epcot one difficult so you don't default to the Epcot one. So we're going to see how well I did. So I'm gonna look over here. I'm going to pull this onto my screen so I'm not looking off to my side. So would you rather extend Main Street another block to the left or the right, so it becomes more, so you can actually walk around the block in Main Street, or would you rather connect the back end of Hollywood Studios, so basically connecting Launch Bay to the Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster area, and add some fun stuff, whatever that might be. Add a boat ride to Animal Kingdom that goes around the Tree of Life. I think we're planning on doing something like that. But
they did. They had one when the park first opened.
Right. It's no longer there, though.
Yeah.
Or add an experience hotel, think like Galactic Star Cruiser, to the entrance of Epcot. So out of those 4 experiences, which one would you rather Bob Chapek implement at Walt Disney World?
So if I could pick one, it would be the Hollywood Studios one. So connecting.
We're making a loop
because I think the flow of that park is terrible. and it would improve that much greatly. I worded that very poorly.
Much better. It would be
things much better.
amazing.
And I think that, obviously allow for room for updating attractions and adding new things. And I think that would really, really transform that park. So that's by far the first. I think
What's the least interesting one I put on that list?
I think that my next choice is definitely the Magic Kingdom one. So it's between the other two are my least. I guess it depends what the experience would be at Epcot and how much it would sort of mess with the entrance and stuff like that.
Well, that's true. We don't know how much it costs. I threw out something in there because there have been rumors about a hotel at Epcot. Yeah. If Star Cruiser proves out to be a profitable experience for years to come, not months to come, they're probably going to look to add them to each one of the parks. So my question on Epcot was like, this could be an interesting thing, but it also can ruin your experience at Epcot, right? So I wanted to kind of give that twist to that. Well, let's say it was the most amazing experience thing you could possibly imagine, right? Your favorite thing in the world, whatever that might be.
The first thing, if it's like tying it into Epcot, it would be neat if it was like Epcot 1984 or something like that is the experience. So you get to do Horizons and Journey into Imagination. And
would that make you that big? Would that be worth everything that it could possibly do to Epcot by putting a hotel there? And that would be worth it because you would do that every 6 months.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I wanted to know where the threshold was to like.
I think no. Well, I'm assuming that it would make it fit and it would look appropriate and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that could be kind of fun.
All right. So that was my Ask Me Anything. I don't know if that's going to be interesting for TikTok or no, but I wanted to see if I can trip you up in not selecting the Epcot one. So next week, you're going to ask me something, Phil.
Okay.
So get ready for that. In that case, where can they find us on social media? Because a lot of inquiring minds would like to know, like we do.
Yeah, so as Jason mentioned, please share your thoughts on what are some of the non-attraction things you like to do every time you go down to Walt Disney World, and let us know on social media at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. We are all at the DBC Pod. So tweet at us, Instagram us, Facebook comment us, whatever all the proper words are. But just interact with us, and we'll be sure to get back to you.
I think we're approaching 500 followers on TikTok. So the TikTok people love us. I don't know what it is. I think it's your impression of Mickey Mouse as a bartender last week that kind of put us over the top.
That did it.
Okay, so the DBC Discord engagement topic from last week was what do you expect from D23? And we had some kind of interesting answers, but they were all kind of like nonplussed, or like, we don't even care because they're not going to give us anything. I think that was like the general statement. Like,
everybody's definitely trying to keep their expectations low.
Very low. And personally, I think it's just going to be repeat of information and kind of like with a polish on it. So my personal opinion is we're going to see some splash stuff. Probably, maybe like they might bring out like an animatronic that they've been working on, but like with no context whatsoever, or more concept art, that type of thing. I think we're most definitely going to get an update on Magic Band Plus because it was supposed to be here by now, and it's not. We were supposed to get it in June, right? And it's July now. We might get some Dino Land art, like whatever's going in that space. We might get some art or concepts. And I think we'll get an update on Epcot. Basically, what's the revised vision for the next 5 years of that park or whatever duration. So I think that's what we'll say. A lot of interesting things, but also a lot of boring things because they're going to be everything that we've known and have updated. I think they're just going to refresh expectations on a lot of things. Mm-hmm. What do you think? What's going on? What do you expect?
I think that'll be a lot of it. I mean, I know I pointed out some people are like, well, that's all we got about the Tiana ride is a name and a timeline. And I'm like, well, we got like this wasn't a Disney event. Like they were just, happy, we're one of the presenters there. Yeah. And they have their entire main, conference thing like 2 months away. So they're not going to like reveal everything now. So we're definitely going to get more Tiana's Bayou Adventure stuff there. Mm-hmm. I think we'll get some more timelines. Hopefully by then we'll know when Tron's going to open and stuff like that. I think my dark horse pick that could be a little bit more exciting for people is expanding Pandora in Animal Kingdom. The original plans for the land were larger. There were going to be a third attraction and a table service restaurant and stuff like that. So I think like the room is there for it. and they could kind of dust off existing plans and stuff, so it wouldn't be as money intensive as starting something new.
I think you're early with that Dark Horse prediction, and this is why, because I think they're waiting. I think they're going to wait for the movies to come out, like the number 2, 3, 4, and 5, which are all being made right now. See what the reception is for number 2 before they announce anything done with that area. The only caveat where actually I could give you credit for is it's an extremely popular part of the park where it's not being held on the coattails of the movies. It's holding up on its own. Yeah. And they certainly could add something to that part of the park and still be extremely popular.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ride is popular, the land is popular, not because of the movies, just because of the setting and because of how well it was done.
Yep.
So, and I think they know that adding to it they would get return on that investment. So, I agree with that. That's kind of my one out there pick beyond some of the kind of the more common things that I've heard people say.
So somebody on Discord, Mama of 6, is hoping, maybe not expecting, but hoping a re-announcement for the Mary Poppins UK Pavilion update, and I think that one's dead as dirt right now at this point. I don't think they're adding anything. The unpopularity of the movie plus COVID plus delays, I think they could easily kind of just sweep that on the rug like it never happened at this point, unfortunately, because I was looking forward to it. I thought it would be really cool.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great addition to the park, and it doesn't have to be an e-ticket attraction or something like that, but it'd be another nice thing, though.
It definitely adds some, attractions to that section of the park that's much needed. Doxy also mentioned a Spaceship Earth refurb. I mean, we've had that already. Maybe there's going to be a third update potentially of what they might be doing. And I think that's all major things from the parks that people mentioned. Everybody was saying the same iteration of everything that we kind of mentioned. There's really not too much to kind of pick from in those regards.
Yeah, I think, Doxy did bring out a good point. There'll be a lot of Disney Plus stuff. I'm sure we'll get a lot of footage and stuff like that. It's not
probably not.
We didn't specify parks only, but
I think there's going to be a Marvel Con or whatever that they're doing coming up this year, where they're going to announce a lot of the Marvel stuff, and I don't think they're going to be announcing any Marvel stuff at D23 that hasn't been announced already. So they're going to save those announcements for that. And any kind of Star Wars stuff is usually going to probably be saved for next year or whenever the next, I can't remember when it is, the Star Wars
fan
convention is. Excuse me for my delay. But yes, I think so. I think we're just going to get some cool new shows and stuff like that for Disney Plus. Nothing that's going to get everybody super excited about. And that's a very safe prediction. Of course, they're going to promote Disney Plus at D23. Okay, so next week, Phil, I picked up something. I don't know. I mean, I think this is just fairly obvious at this point. I don't even know how popular this is going to be, but I want to know what everybody's expectations for Splash closure and the Tiana Open is. I'm really interested in what people think. When is it going to go down? Some people think it's going to go down by the end of the year. Some people think it's going to be the Q1 of next year. And when Tiana is going to open, are we going to actually get it in 2024? Is it going to bleed into 2025? Is it going to be early of 2024? It's going to be really interesting to see what how fast they can turn around this ride is.
And maybe I'll also add to that. Do you think they will give people a good amount of notice so that if they want to do one last trip down to get on the ride, or will they be it's closing 2 weeks from
now? Just all right, it's done. Let's go. No, I think what they'll do is they'll give plenty of notice, because I think people are going to buy a ton of merch for this, and they want to give people a chance to think about buying the merch, saving up for the merch, and then buying the merch.
Yeah, I guess that's always a touchy area, right? Because they're closing the ride because they don't think it's culturally appropriate anymore, so they can't really make
selling the heck out of that stuff, though.
I mean, they can have existing stuff, but it feels like it'd be in bad taste to have special commemorative merchandise, the new stuff.
I don't think it'd be commemorative. But I just think it's just whatever's out there now, they're gonna sell it and promote selling it. They're not gonna be get new Splash Mountain T-shirts or something else like that. I don't think. All right, so I think that's it, Phil. I think that. Yeah,
maybe I'll just add a DVC recommends. I didn't put it in here. I did tweet about it, but the new Baymax series that's on Disney Plus is excellent. It's 6 episodes. They're 10 minutes each, so they're just shorts, but they're very well done. and it's Baymax going around helping people, like, but in the end it's like confronting their fears and becoming better people and stuff like that, and then in the end they all team up to save him and stuff like that. It's really well done. It tackles some interesting topics. Like the third episode is a girl gets her first period, and he's helping her out with that and stuff like that. So it's not necessarily stuff you normally see in like Disney cartoons and stuff like that. But I think it's all really well done. Family appropriate, and I don't know how much attention it got, but if you were thinking about it or whatever, I would seek it out. It's really good.
I think my son I was like making lunch or something, and he had it on during the day, and I'm like, "What are you watching?" He's, "Oh, it's Baymax." I'm like, "You watched that movie once, like 2 years ago," but he was very excited. He loved it. I think he watched like one or two of them, and it was definitely good. So get your kids out there and watching it. I'll give it DBC recommends that I'm actually liking the more it's going on. It's Miss Marvel. I mean, like I think that's like an easy one. But here's the thing: my wife can't stand all the Marvel movies, right? I mean, she loves them. She gets excited by them. She knows they're good movies, and she enjoys them, but she doesn't look forward to them, right? She thinks that sometimes they're overly violent, or she understands what's going on, because she likes more funny stuff, more lighthearted type of content, and she can't wait to watch Miss Marvel every single week. She just loves how it's like it's family friendly. It's like, it got a little violent in the last episode, a lot of fight scenes, but she likes how it's about a family and a young girl and the different like cultural things that you kind of learn. Like there's a lot more than just like a superhero with superpowers, like investigating things. And I think the actress is very well directed, and she does a great job with her acting. And the good thing about her, she's very young, and she's going to be in the MCU probably for like the next 20 years. So good for her. She's set for life at this point. So she's doing a good job in her debut, and I think it's getting good reviews by a lot of people. So I think
so. Yeah, one thing that I read that I think goes to the way your wife was talking about is it feels like the series that the side characters are the most well developed. Like it feels like a real like kind of sitcom or family comedy or family dramedy or something, because you're actually getting to know her mom and her grandma and their interaction with each other and things like that, that it's not just about the hero stuff. Yeah.
And I think it's definitely pretty well done. Maybe next week we'll have a segment, I think, and we're popping up here close to an hour about our final thoughts on Kenobi. A couple things kind of got in our way from that, but I definitely think we need to carve out like 10 minutes next week to kind of give our final discussion. After all the professionals, of course, on YouTube have put together all the Easter eggs and everything else, I think I want to throw my 2 cents in there. I need like a solid 5 minutes for a rant that's going to turn into a half hour. Basically, I need to block that off. But that'll be next week. You don't have to listen to it now. Phil, have a great week. Happy birthday, America. And thank you for watching, listening, or whatever you're doing right now. We'll see you next week. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.
Take care, everyone.